Looks that way. Hello, everybody. I just want to welcome everybody to our first official Ubuntu Party USA Google Hangout. So this is my first time using this technology. And right now we've got Robert and Michael. I did send out a invite that should have come through your Gmail account about 20 minutes ago. It's 10 p.m. right now on Thursday, October 16th, 2014. And by clicking that link, you should be able to get right into the video call. You're going to need to have a Google Plus account, first a Gmail account, and then you should be able to integrate your Google Plus account with your device, whether it's a smartphone or a pad device or your computer, and then you will see options to join in and to try to plug in video. If we do fill up and get beyond 10 people, there's a possibility that you might be able to contribute your voice, even if you are not on video, because Google Hangout is limited to 10 people on the video panel at a time. But it appears that the group chat function will allow for any additional people without limitation, as far as I know, to join the conversation so that we can, really maintain that level of communication, even if you're not with us via video. I'm just looking over here on the right, and I see there was a Michael that was on here. Wait, not Michael K. Just the AL? Because I've got
no, it shouldn't be.
Because I've got a Michael here that's M-I-C-H-A-L. Okay, and let's see, I've got, okay, somebody wrote, I did not get that email. Okay, so let me just check in for a second here. Meanwhile, while I make sure I'm plugging in everybody here, Robert and Michael, why don't you introduce yourselves and talk about your connection to Ubuntu Party USA.
I can start, I suppose. I am Michael, the Gabriel family, about 27 years old. Actually, I got into Ubuntu as kind of chance, to be honest.
But they'll see one of my art professors mobbing on his people. Like, looking
Hello.
Oh, I never watched it. I never watched
Hello.
A TV or something, I think I hear.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's up, Michael? What's up, brother? Okay, he just turned off his microphone for the moment. If you use some background noise.
Uh-oh.
That's our super duper legal Superman brother from California, taking on the courts since 17 years old, winning cases, loving it, man. Oh man, he's been contributing some great content to our law page. But I'm sorry, Michael. Oh wait, here's some. Alicia is now with us.
Hey! No problem, man. Looks like we're all signing in.
Hey, how's it going? So glad that you're with us.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump back on trying to connect a few other people here. But yeah, Michael Gabriel was just in the process of talking about his connection to Ubuntu.
Yeah, it actually started through Rob Johnson, who I guess does the, he has his own group. I had gotten invited to that actually by a friend, so sort of by chance, and then through other types of chance, I just ended up here and felt very much at home almost immediately. Every conversation that people have had, it felt like, a group of friends that I knew was out there that I had never found. So it's really awesome to be here. I feel like I share tons of everything. Since I was, a child, tons of the same ideals that a lot of the people here do. So that's one of my driving forces behind being here. Just being able to create a world with those same people. It's huge for me.
Beautiful. How about you, Robert? What's your connection with Ubuntu?
Well, I guess I've been looking for something for a long time. I'm never satisfied with the way things are. And a friend of mine told me about Tellinger this, I guess, about a year ago. And so I bought his book, Slave Species of the Gods, and read that, and then started watching YouTube videos, and just kind of, I guess at some point, bought his Contributionism book, and I resonated with everything that was in it, from the get-go, and so it just seemed like a natural fit. So I've never been a fan of money, and so I could totally understand that it's something that we don't need.
Beautiful. How about you, Alicia? What's your connection with Ubuntu?
I was wondering if you guys could hear me first, because I'm using this speaker, this microphone.
Can hear you fine.
You probably
okay.
Yeah,
all right. I've never used this. I'm sorry.
You probably don't even have to hold. You probably just relax and take a deep breath, and there you go.
All right. Well, I guess you could say, woke up in the summer of 2013, and I was led to different books and different videos, and that seemed like synchronistically just fell into my lap. And I watched the Michael Tellinger video, the Anunnaki and Hidden Ancient Technology, and I was so unbelievably inspired by it. Not only, at first it was with the stone circles and, because I love archaeology, but, and then when he started talking about the Ubuntu movement, and I was like, wow, I've never heard anybody actually start a conversation like this, and I felt like I was waiting for it. I've been waiting for it my whole life.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think that this is really resonating with a lot of people worldwide, thus the kind of explosion in interest around the world. And, we're really ripe for a people's grassroots movement that is very loosely organized, decentralized, putting the power, into the hands of really all of the participants. This is definitely a participant-driven movement, and we're all co-creators. I definitely like to think of it as a leaderless movement, which is another way of saying that everybody's a leader. Stepping into this role, it's a call of spirit to spirit, because there's something in the Ubuntu message. There's many things within it that resonate with us on a deep soul level, and that's why we're drawn to it. And from a certain perspective, you might even feel like we're fulfilling part of our soul mission by connecting with a movement like this at a time that we see so much need in this world, and we're seeking remedy, and people who are sensitive and open-hearted and kind are just really wanting to learn, what can I do, how can I plug in to do my own part, my own small part in my own way. And, just at the right time, Michael came out with this book, and I think a lot of people read it and they think, wow, I already believe all this stuff. It's like he's actually saying everything that I already feel, and like he's got actually a plan, So I think that definitely accounts for kind of like so many people just immediately wanting to plug in with the movement. So, my connection in brief with the movement, I was aware of Michael's other books, Slave Species of the God. In fact, I remember where I was when I first saw that book. I was at a used book annex at a Barnes & Noble in New Jersey, and I'm looking at this book, and I'm always into kind of like metaphysical books, ancient alien style stuff, metaphysics, philosophy, religion, spirituality, New Age, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, okay, this is kind of cool, and I was, roughly familiar with Zecharia Sitchin's work, and I recognized that Michael was kind of tapping into that narrative of, like, Enki and Enlil, these, Sumerian creator gods that messed with human, DNA and all that kind of stuff. And as far as all that kind of stuff goes, I just don't know. Like, it's definitely not beyond the ken, certainly within the realm of possibility. But for me personally, I am more interested just in connecting directly with source, the highest level Iluvatar, from from like the Tolkien mythology, which Michael Gabriel always has some great things to share. Yeah. So yeah, just plugging into Creator directly and just wanting to find my place to serve, humanity and bring my highest gifts of service, just to be helpful and to be used, to help heal the world and to help create an environment of love and kindness where people, can feel that they can relax into a new paradigm, and that it will be safe, and that there'll be other intelligent people, on a true soul mission, who are filled with love and kindness, who will support them in that space. So a couple people had mentioned to me about plugging into this book, Ubuntu Contributionism, and there was a little bit of lag time. I kind of recognized that, the call was coming in maybe 2 years ago was the first time that I had actually heard Ubuntu Contributionism. And then I finally ended up getting the Kindle book and started reading it and recognized how important it was, and just felt like, wow, perfect timing for all this to come. And and then the story with, because just so that everybody knows that all of these Google Hangouts that we do will be converted into a YouTube video, so people in the future, thousands of years from now, can see our first meeting of Ubuntu Party USA, see our humble beginnings, right? But so the story behind Ubuntu Party USA is that once I recognized the power and legitimacy of the Ubuntu message, I recognized that this is, for now, a completely viable option to really plug in and get other people on board. I recognized that for the longest time it was kind of like the weakness of the consciousness movement, that nobody had a really good solid plan. People had ideas, a lot of innovations. You hear a lot of great stuff coming from TED Talks and Reality Sandwich and all of these different conscious groups around the country, and Evolver Social Network. But there was really nobody stepping forth with kind of like a comprehensive, like, hey, I could feel everybody's energy and wanting to get something going here, so this is what I propose. So having come across Michael's book and recognizing that, at least for me, in my experience, he was the first person with a viable plan that was kind of like, plug in and play, let's get this thing rolling right now. And also really appreciating the kind of whole decentralized, open source, transparent aspect of it. So I wanted to create an Ubuntu Party USA page, like, immediately. But I didn't want to go ahead and just jump the gun, because I'm a big believer of, like, when you're connecting with a new tribe, to stay kind of a little bit on the sidelines a little bit and just kind of observe the customs of the tribe, so that you can plug in respectfully and learn the customs of the tribe and respect them. So I contacted Ubuntu in South Africa and said, hey, I want to get this Facebook page going, Ubuntu Party USA, but I just want to see if Michael has anything that he wants to say. I don't know necessarily what is the proper protocol. I just don't want to, like, out there without somebody giving me some direction, or at least, some kind of nod of approval, like that it's okay. I had to send a second email. Somebody else responded and said, oh, just go ahead, start it. If you're feeling it, we just want to get the word out there, go ahead and go. I was like, okay. I was still feeling a little bit tentative about that, because I really wanted to hear it directly from Michael. So one day I was watching a Michael Tellinger video, and at the end of the video, he said, oh yeah, people come up to me all the time and they're like, how can we get this going where we are? And he said, I tell them, go ahead, get started, start the party. So I recognize, okay, this is the custom of the tribe. It's, and I can relate to that, because I'm really big like that too. Like, I immediately want to allow people to do their thing. Like, I'd rather put the trust out there initially that if somebody brings an intention and a belief that they can contribute something worthy, I want to give them the space to make that happen, immediately, to demonstrate their, how they envision their own participation, not through so much talk as much by just actual demonstration of what they do to contribute, like on that higher level. So anyway, started the page, and Michael ended up connecting with us directly. We first had connection with Sid Orgain. Now, Sid and Michael were working together very closely. They're not working together as closely now. They are on good terms and in communication. I actually saw Sid in Pennsylvania about 2 weeks ago. He was up at UbuntuFest for a period of time, and then for a couple weeks after UbuntuFest was staying with some friends. So I know from talking to Sid that he and Michael are in communication and are trying to feel out how they are working, moving forward together. But Sid is no longer working in the capacity of the global coordinator for the Ubuntu movement. So anyway, Michael had reached out to me at that time, and we had a couple conversations. We got on Skype one day, got some emails, and he basically asked if I would, launch Ubuntu Party USA in the country. And I said, well, I'll give it a go, but I'm relying on the people who will plug in and be part of that, because it's not about me, and I don't want to be a leader. I think we're all leaders. Like, I'll certainly contribute energy and do everything I can to make it a success. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a leaderless movement, and I told him that, and he was cool with that. So that's how the page got started on Facebook. As of today, we've got about 4,500 people who have liked the page, and we're about to launch a website, and that's what I was speaking most recently with Robert about. Maybe Robert, you want to bring an update on the latest with the website?
Sure. Yeah, there's not a lot to report, but I spoke with the gentleman who had the foresight to purchase UbuntuPartyUSA.com and .org. He's totally in alignment with us and Tellinger, and when I guess he was aware of Cindy and her website and felt like it should be promoted. He kind of knows a little bit about what happened with her, but anyway, he bought those domains just to promote Ubuntu, and when I spoke with him, he was all about sharing those with us so that we can use those domains for our website. So he's supposed to be getting the transfer started, and that can take 5 to 7 days, and as soon as I have control of it, then we'll get started.
Great. So that's really good news, because that was one kind of obvious next big step would be in. And I am Karen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, David?
I'm so good. Great to finally see your face. I think last time we connected was on a Skype call.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's been a number of weeks.
It's been a while, yeah, so I'm so glad that you can join with us tonight. I hope Elizabeth...
Yeah, at least for a little while. I just got home. I've had a long day.
Okay, great. So yeah, in reference to what Robert was saying, Robert will be using WordPress. Is there anybody here who is really adept with WordPress?
I'm familiar, but I wouldn't say I'm adept.
Okay. And I know, of course, Robert, you create websites, so you're somewhat adept, would you say?
Yeah, sure.
So you're basically, do you want to be the webmaster of our Ubuntu Party USA WordPress page?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take care of that, and I will welcome any input or assistance from anybody that that wants to help out.
Fantastic. Okay.
One of the things that I wanted to mention, I don't really have any graphics or anything like that, such as the Ubuntu logo, and I don't know, do you have like Photoshop files or anything like that for the logo?
Just what I've pulled off of like Google Images, and even that's kind of like not a high-res version. But I really
Right.
like what I see people doing around the world with tweaking it. And what would be really cool is to have a super kick-ass logo for America. If you go to the Ubuntu USA page from that lady Cynthia, who, by the way, just so everybody knows, now that we're kind of like launching and we're going to be drawing a lot of attention, inevitably some people will be directed to an alternative site, because if you just go to Google, and you can even try this right now if you want to. In fact, you know what? Let me try this one technology right here. It says that I can bring up a screen share, so let me see here. And, okay, share. So, oh, wow. Okay, bear with me 1 second. You saw like that infinite depth of Ubuntu USA, okay, .com. So if people type in UbuntuUSA.com, you guys you guys see it coming up here right now? Or not necessarily?
Not yet.
Okay. So I've got it up on my
There it is. There it is.
Okay, is it sinking into like this infinite depth, though, like one screen after another getting smaller and smaller and smaller, or can you actually see a single screen?
I think
No,
as long as
okay.
you don't talk.
Oh, cool. All right. So anyway, she did change the logo here a little bit, but the thing with this screen, with this website, is that she wants nothing to do with politics. Okay, Michael Tellinger has made it definitely clear that he wants Ubuntu to be represented by political parties. He said specifically that he believes it will give us greater protection, and not that anybody should be too worried. But I think that what he was saying is that you have greater, I guess, legal rights or protection to speak freely from a political platform. And certainly, if you are reading Michael's book, and of course every coordinator should be conversant with Michael, having a copy and reading it again and again and again and letting these ideas sink in. Some of the ideas are very radical because they're basically going, not that they're going up against the system. I want to try my best and encourage all of us to do our best to avoid all language that kind of it's like us versus them. But we are offering new ways of being and doing that will render the old ways of being and doing obsolete, and we can expect some resistance from those old ways in various ways. So Michael believes that by having an actual registered party, we will have greater protection and greater clearance to effectively do the work of sharing new ways of doing and being. So anyway, all that to say, she had another logo up at one point, which I actually saved as a picture on my iMac. But just to give you an idea, there's a little bit of a logo, but we should definitely have somebody take the original logo that Michael has with the wings and tweak it, do some Photoshop to do a really nice Ubuntu USA logo that we can use on the website. Is anybody here like super expert with art layout design in Photoshop?
I'm not, but I know someone who is. And it's
Okay.
actually one of the admins for the radio show that we were talking about. And she is excellent with everything. So hopefully, maybe you guys could talk about that.
Well, you know what? This would probably be the best way to do it. See if she's interested in submitting a proposal for the Ubuntu USA logo. And when I talk about the original logo, do you know what I'm talking about? Just like the world with the two hands coming together at the bottom and the two wings on the side. It's the most recognizable Ubuntu logo. So you could direct her to that. you could probably just use Google Images and type in Ubuntu contributionism, because if you don't put contributionism, it'll be the logo for the operating system Ubuntu.
Yeah.
And then let her know that we are accepting submissions for consideration, because we may go with the first one that we get, but in my mind, if we're going to really do this effectively, we want to always really maintain a really high level of production. So we shouldn't settle for anything less than a really awesome logo that we all feel confident about kind of being represented by that logo. But if you could just pass on that information to her, Alicia, and see if she has an interest in submitting, an application for submission, that we might end up using her work for our, national thing.
Okay. I will.
Very cool. I just wanted to check in with Michael too. I think his microphone is off right now. I just wanted to invite him to come in and say what's up.
Me or the other Michael? Is there another Michael?
Yeah, the other Michael, I think you've got your microphone off, so if you look at the top of your image, beautiful brother, and click on that microphone icon, it should be in red right now, and if you click on that, we'll probably be able to hear you. There we go. Hey, brother, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Never been better.
All right. What's your connection with Ubuntu, brother?
So I watched Michael Tellinger's 2-hour presentation at the 2012 Global BEM, where he's wearing a purple shirt, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And that really impressed me, and I was like, wow, this guy's right, especially about the churches, like the resonation chambers. So.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, I've been following Michael, and I watched like the elections in South Africa. Those are really good, and ever since then, I've just been radical on Ubuntu. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been seeing all your good work, dude, and really, your background and your understanding of law is like commendable, bro.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, like speaking to judges and stuff, and helping to educate them on common law and whatnot, and yeah, man, you've been sharing some great information. I've really been rocking that, so thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. You're awesome, brother.
Yeah, man, thank you. So I think we've checked in with everybody here who's currently present. I just want to go over the agenda for tonight's hangout, and just give me a second here. So yeah, Rasa Kananda was on a little bit before we actually started. He was in, but he's super awesome. He's down in Florida, and there's another brother who I hope will be coming on tonight named Elijah from Canada. I hope will be checking in. Okay, let's see here.
I do not have a video up.
Is that Elizabeth?
Alicia. I'm not seeing a video.
Oh, okay. Let me check it out here. Make sure that's not me from my end. Okay, Alicia, I can see you.
Yes.
Can you see me?
No. But I can hear you, so that's good.
That's cool. All right, so I'm just getting to the council page here. So one of the things that we want to be using is an interactive map. All right, which I think was the second point of the stuff we wanted to cover tonight. The first one was the website, which we kind of just went over. Okay. So yeah, so the agenda for tonight: official website. Next, Okay, registering the party. Okay, so we've got some brothers and sisters up in Canada who are really great and tightly organized, and I just spoke to Jeff Major, who goes by Ubuntu JD. I don't know if you've seen him hanging around the Ubuntu sites, but I think he's the main coordinator for the Ubuntu Canada page. And I got on the phone with them earlier today, and they're like basically on the last stages of actually registering the party in Canada. They've already got 2 communities that are beginning. He mentioned one guy was a farmer that's got like 60 acres and is essentially offered to use it for an Ubuntu community. So some really good stuff that I'm hearing coming out of Canada. One of the things that we want to get on top of immediately and create like a committee is to actually register the party. Now, that's as easy as just doing a simple Google search, how to register a new political party. Informationally, it's not going to be much of a problem. I think that it does involve getting like a list of signatures, probably some small registration fees. So in other words, the bar to entry I don't think is that high. But what we need to do is we need to get 2 or 3 people who like are mainly focusing on getting the party registered nationally, and then we can worry about breaking it down. But eventually we want to register at the national level, state level, county level, municipal level. One of the ways that we're going to be able to, kind of at a glance see how our organizational plan is coming together is by using an interactive map. And the basic structural plan that that we want is for the national, for the nation, we want like 3 primary coordinators. This is coming from Michael, okay? And then at the state level, we want 3 coordinators per state. Those 3 national coordinators will be working with all the people from the 50 states, okay, directly. Taking it down to the state level, got background noise. Let me just see here if I can. I'm not sure who that is there. But yeah, if you're just going to listen in for a while, and if you're doing some stuff in the background, I think if you hit mute, you'll still be able to hear everything. So on the state level, what we want to do is we want to get 3 coordinators for every state. And those state coordinators will now be taking it upon themselves to make sure that at the county level, there's 3 coordinators set up within every county within their state. That's going to vary in terms of the workload. I think in some states you might have as low as 10 or 15 counties, and then other states like Texas or some of these bigger states, you might have hundreds of counties. But basically, at every level, we want 3 coordinators. So 3 coordinators for each state, 3 coordinators for each county within the state. Now, from the county level, those 3 county coordinators, everybody here, you might be representing at any one of those levels. In the interim, until we get more people, you might be serving, if you so choose, at, let's say, like the state level and county, or perhaps at the county and the municipality level. But let's just imagine right now that everybody listening is functioning as a county coordinator. So then what we would be doing is we would be, generating interest within our county, which is going to come partly through flyering and distributing literature, attending meetings of like local Sierra Club, if there's like time bank organizations, open mics, any place that draws like people who are trying to be the change, transition towns, if you have meetings that are getting together, any kind of groups that are getting together for like CSAs, community supported agriculture, and really want to encourage everybody to start plugging in with your community, even if they're like of a different age spectrum or whatever. Don't look at these others as people who are different from you, but look at them as collaborators. That we're all essentially on the same team and working for the same ends. We want to help heal the world and make it a better place for our children and for future generations. So as county coordinators, you would establish eventually 3 coordinators for every municipality or township, and I equate those two as being one and the same. So within every county, you're going to have counties broken down into individual townships and municipalities. Sometimes politically they will actually have districts that might have a couple municipalities and townships. But this is why an interactive map will be really helpful. And I think that Google Maps might give us the ability to like zoom out and see like all 50 states, and we can like see, because we could drop pins on each state, we can see, you know, who are the 3 coordinators for each state. And let's say we want to, you know, zoom in on Idaho. We zoom in, and then we see all of the counties in Idaho. And we've dropped pins in each county so we can see the 3 names for each county. Then we zoom into one county, and then we see all the municipalities. And we can see the 3 names for each municipality and township. So that will be one way that we can kind of, at a glance, see how far we are getting with plugging people into these important roles. Okay? So all that to try to explain that that would be one of our immediate goals, is to kind of like fill these posts, because once we're really organized at that level, we can then work together really effectively to share the ideas and get the Ubuntu party established, you know, at the municipal level, at the county level of government, and at the federal level of government. And I want to open up the floor now for any comments, suggestions, pros or cons as to that idea.
I actually overall think it's really beautiful. I've heard something similar before, and I'm trying to remember exactly where I heard it, but the idea of having a very loose sort of affiliation, groups of 3 specifically being kind of powerful. But as far as now, what should we, does anybody have any ideas about, you know, what sort of things we should be doing to find these people? Should we just mostly social media, as we've been doing out flyers, those sort of things?
Yeah, I think right now Facebook is our best friend in terms of directing the enthusiasm and energy of new people who are coming into these ideas and encouraging them to start a Facebook page, you know, and letting them know that you know, it's already yes bless, because that's what we're all about, is creating that space for, you know, empowerment and self-expression and working together, you know, all for one and one for all. So, you know, yes, you know, the answer is yes. You can start a page, beginning, you know, start posting, you know, Ubuntu-related stuff. Create a culture of kindness and prosperity and positivity through the posts. Invite your friends. You know, do Google Hangouts. You know, just begin to own it. Like, just own it. You know, read the book and then own it. That's what I would be saying to people. Read the book and own it stage. And, you know, we can kind of coordinate kind of like on level that as we're getting these pages plugged in at state, county, municipal levels, that we're having those individual pages make it their mission to find those 3, whoever they are, getting them officially plugged into our database. You know, and it should also kind of like, in addition, like on the one hand, we're asking people to like really step up and, you know, to meditate deeply, you know, upon this quest which they're about to embark, and even a tentative, even like, you know, holding space until somebody else can come along. That's kind of like what I'm doing, holding this space for this, you know, quote unquote presidential bid. I had a friend of mine named Jeff Williams who all of a sudden, just unsolicited, started these memes, or creating memes on Facebook saying, Dave, presidential candidate, Ubuntu USA. And I started thinking about saying, and you know what? I'd be willing to, until somebody comes in who's better qualified. Everybody here knows, I had this conversation with Robert the other day, that the way things are set up in this country with voting and voting machines, you know, I believe in miracles, but it's highly unlikely that we're going to have an Ubuntu president in the White House in 2016. It's just that the whole nature of the system is set up to benefit a certain, to create high walls to keep out everybody else. And they've got layers and layers and layers of gatekeepers. So that's part of the game here, is that we're trying to unravel all of that and really, you know, open up everything for transparency. But at the same time, we do need these token but semi-serious, you know, kind of, you know, figureheads, so people know. Like, for instance, Michael running in South Africa, you know, he seems like a guy who's really busy with a lot of private hobbies and interests, like pyramids and like ancient civilization and ancient aliens, right? He's got his hands in so many pots. And just think, if he was the president of South Africa, he'd probably have very little time to pursue his real passion, you know. And I always remember how Plato spoke about, you know, the philosopher kings, is that the people who would best serve the community are probably those who would be most reluctant to even fill those slots, because, of course, anybody aspiring, you know, to make a career out of, you know, politics is probably a questionable character, because it's, you know, in its current form, it's such a shady domain. So, you know, as we ask people to plug in and own it, they can hold space temporarily. So in other words, we're not asking people to make a firm commitment to some, you know, we're asking for a certain level of commitment. But at the same time, I feel like we need to allow people the sense that it's safe, that at any point that you feel like, hey, this is too much for me, too overwhelming, that's totally cool. We'll just put the word out there and say, opened up in, you know, this county in Wisconsin, and you know, we're receiving submissions. You know, anybody who expresses an interest, we want to get them plugged into that role. So kind of bringing it back, we're using Facebook pages concomitant with the interactive map to get all those spaces plugged in. At the same time, we're already beginning to seed our communities with the Ubuntu ideas. And what I started doing the other day is I opened up Pages on my iMac to look at some of the brochure templates. And it's fairly easy to use something like that if you've got a Mac, and I'm sure that you know, other computers have their equivalent. But we should all be creating literature, you know, and get creative with it. You know, use the art that you want, lay it out with your design, you know, add your flavor into the Ubuntu mix. And one thing that I found very convenient is that if you download the Kindle app for your computer, and then if you go ahead and get Michael's book, Ubuntu Contribution, or a Kindle download, which I think is $10, what you can then do, it's searchable, by the way, so you can put in a search term or just type in Ubuntu, or like the other day I typed in the word solutions, because I wanted to go right to the places in the book where Michael is talking directly about solutions. So what you can then do is that you can actually scroll over the text of the Kindle app on your computer and copy-paste, okay, even a Facebook page, and take whole excerpts out of the book. So you can design Ubuntu brochures that are either your Ubuntu ideas, or you can actually build it from the book or from any of Michael's printed materials. So, you know, get creative, but I feel like we have to be approaching this from all levels. We should be building the pages, building the map, and getting those offices and slots all filled in, seeding our communities with literature, attending meetings, talking to other people, and then just coordinating through forums like this as informational course for our Ubuntu group. Any ideas?
Sounds pretty beautiful to me. I like the very open source type of feel, and just, hey man, what is it that you love doing? Would you like to contribute that to the world? And bringing that forward in people as much as possible. And I think that's really the strength of this kind of idea or anything like this, is just that people are tired of giving up what they love or what they should do, and to be able to say, hey man, you can contribute to the world doing what you love. Here's a way to do it. I think a lot of people can jump on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. The other thing too is, as people produce materials, whether it be a Facebook ad or a brochure or whatever it is, share it on the Facebook group so that other people can either use it or modify it to fit their needs in their area, and I think we'll all profit by that.
And as far as the logo too, couldn't we just maybe put out an open call for anybody that has those sort of skills to contribute something or to give it a shot if they feel like they would want to put in some artwork or something for that?
Yeah, and I wonder if we could reach out to Michael and Louise and see if we could get, like the original file, whatever they used to create their logo down there. It'd be nice to have a good, clean copy of that so that if we want to modify it, tweak it a little bit and then put USA on it or whatever we're going to do with it. It'd be nice to have that instead of just grabbing it off of a website. Because eventually, if we're going to have printed material, it's going to need to be a much higher resolution than anything that we're grabbing off of websites. Dave, do you know if you think we could do something like that?
I just was trying to connect somebody to this. Can you just recap the question again for me?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could reach out to Michael and Louise and see if we could get an original file from those guys, whoever created that logo in South Africa.
Sure,
just
absolutely.
To get a good, clean copy, because right now just putting stuff online, the resolution isn't that important. But when we go to print any of this stuff, we're going to need a little higher quality.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, is Alicia still with us? Can you hear me, Alicia? I know that Alicia just got a response back from Michael's people. I think that they're working with like a new coordinator who's taken some email, because I think that he's working on the the water bovine community over there, the Stone Circle, and he's kind of just taking some downtime to himself. So he's not really responding to a lot of emails right now. But Alicia did get a response back from somebody in the last day or two, and maybe since she has a line of communication open with that person, maybe she can inquire as to getting a high-res file. So if she checks back in, we'll see about that. Maybe do one of you guys want to try typing into the chat on the right and see if just mention that to Alicia, if she can reach back out to her contact and see if she can acquire a high-res logo from them. And I'm going to try to plug somebody in here.
Okay, I'll type this into Alicia.
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Great, thanks.
Hello?
Sorry, is that
I was
Alicia?
trying to figure out how to get that back, yeah. I actually don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that wasn't you.
I think you might be mistaking me for someone else.
Oh, I must be. So you're not the one who's trying to do the radio show and get Michael on the radio show.
Oh, yeah, the radio show. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about a person, someone else. Like, yeah, I have a friend in Laguna Beach, actually, who has a radio station.
Gotcha.
And I am trying to get in contact with Michael to see if he would like to be on the show, because it's I've found someone actually in California already. I forget her name already, but she is going to join the show on the 28th of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And so he allows the phone calls in too. So I was just looking for volunteers for who would ever want to join that show, or if we could possibly get Michael or anybody else in the California area that could go to the station. So.
Gotcha. Now, did you say that somebody responded from their end to your inquiry?
No, I only got an email back saying that Michael was on break. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So that person who said Michael's on break, aren't they some kind of their current right-hand person?
Yeah, I could speak with her, with the assistant.
Yes. Okay. So if you could just get back with the assistant and reply to that latest email and now it's a res version of the official Ubuntu logo.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do, is to get a high-res version, and that would, if you can handle that, just ask. That would be awesome, and get back to us when you hear back from them.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so let's see. So we've discussed the website, registering the party, interactive map. So another thing we need to discuss is kind of like bare minimum requirements for coordinators. So yeah, on the one hand, I think it's going to really work for this whole endeavor to kind of open source it and encourage people to participate and to own it and to have a sense of ownership of the role that they play. And I think that more love and authentic passion and commitment to it will go into it when people feel that this is also a channel for their unique creative energy to represent something they believe in. So I think that's really powerful. So I want to really, in a sense, like open up that space, as widely as possible for people to move within that space. But we also have to talk about bare minimum requirements for coordinators, which means the qualifications that we are looking for that makes us comfortable as a group, knowing that people who are plugging in, that there's kind of like a bare minimum understanding. Like for me, that would basically be competency with computer skills. The ability to get onto like what we're doing now, a hangout, the ability to create and maintain a growing and active Facebook page. So that would be important for a coordinator for Ubuntu, is essentially to be computer savvy, and in particular media savvy, because we're going to milk social media for all of its worth to for all that it's worth to get the Ubuntu mess out. In addition to media competency, it's super important that everybody has read it from cover to cover at least once, and I think that really to kind of like inoculate our powerful ideas, that we've got to like continually be steeping our consciousness in the book and revisit it often. One of the creative ways that I found that we can do that is, I had mentioned the Kindle earlier, and the Kindle app for the computer. So what I'm about to share with you now only applies if you have a Kindle device, like I've got an HD Fire tablet, okay, from Amazon. So if you own an Amazon tablet, it has a feature that when you download a Kindle book and you bring up the text, that it has a play button on the bottom of the screen, and it will actually narrate just like it's an audio book, in a fairly convincing voice. Mine speaks in this woman's voice, and like I forget that it's like an automatic text to speech. It sounds to me like somebody's just reading it from an audio book. So I will be listening to that like if I'm going for a run or in the background or if I'm driving, and this way I can be just tapping into those ideas when I don't have the time to sit down and actually crack open the book. I've converted now my Kindle copy into an audiobook, and I've already discussed with Michael the necessity of actually doing a professional studio version, possibly be interested or do in your studio, Michael?
Sorry, my microphone off because we have background noise going. Yeah, it might be something that's within my means to do, for sure. We don't have a super super high quality studio here, but it's on the voice recording and a good medium. If I could get a good speaker to do it, I think we could definitely do something like that.
Okay, something to think about. What I was thinking about doing too, as a kind of a holdover, because I do think that there's really, high quality, find a person with a really good voice and who can, whose ability to read and speak at the same time, translates into a really good kind of dynamic flow. That I was probably going to just do like block talk radio segments, a chapter at a time. So that people could just at least have a link and be able to listen to it on their computers that way. But that would be something that we wanted to do is to, bare minimum requirements for coordinators. So computer competency, social media competency, familiarity with the book, having read it. I would say that people who want to plug in, I would encourage them to plug in, but immediately get the book and jump right into it. I personally get a little bit, wary when I hear people saying like they want to read the book but they can't afford it, which I understand that everybody's got their struggles and everything, but I mean like, everybody pays their phone bill every month. If you have TV, cable bill, you know what I mean? It's like, my God, if you want to represent this organization, lay out the $10 to get the Kindle or the $20 to get the Amazon paperback. Because that's a whole other thing. Is the whole mentality that we've got to be working with people where like, low-level monetary commitments for something so important like getting your own copy of the book shouldn't really even be an issue. So when I hear that come up, and I've heard that come up a couple of times, on the one hand, I'm like, I want to be compassionate because I know everybody's struggling, but I also want to know that I'm with a team where it's like, oh yeah, of course, man. It's like you don't even bring it up. Like you just know you're going to make it happen. If you have to work a couple extra shifts at Burger King to make it happen, you're going to make it happen. But
there's a quote related to that I really like, and I might be misquoting it, but I think it was Stuart Wilde, and he said, "I get everything I want, and if I didn't get it, it's because I didn't want it enough." Just owning your own reality and exactly what you put forward and what you're getting in your life. I think that's somebody says.
And I think.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please finish.
Yeah, I feel like if somebody says they can't afford it, it's basically sort of a statement of not wanting it enough to go for it.
That's what I think.
As small as
that's why I feel uncomfortable about it. So yeah, thanks for articulating that, because that's exactly what it is for me. And thankfully, from what I understand, on Scribd there is a free copy, so people can go online and in fact we should make that readily available. Here, let me make a note to myself here to add book link to Ubuntu pages. That way there'll be no bar to entry whatsoever. Okay, so what in your minds, anybody who's listening right now, what do you feel are important in terms of bare minimum requirements for coordinators?
I think everything that you mentioned is important, and I also think that the individual should be able to carry on a intelligent conversation with anyone they speak to. And the reason I bring that up is because there were some political activists here in Victoria. They had some signs out, and I was curious, so I just pulled over and talked to the guy. And it was sad. I mean, the guy couldn't even carry on a conversation. It was bad. And I was just like, man, I would not want to be the guy that you're representing, and you're out here talking to the public. So, and I don't know how you discover that, but if a person isn't comfortable talking to other people about these things, they're probably not going to be drawn to this anyway. But I don't know. There's and I think you'll see that pretty easily. once you communicate with an individual?
I think that we could probably also create like a a one-page bullet point sheet for engaging publicly.
Right.
That we could encourage anybody who's going to be doing any flyering, going to to gatherings to talk or pass out literature, or to represent it all. That should cover some basic things. Really emphasize just humility and proper decorum, and to represent, to remember that you're representing a truly hopeful, meaning like this is something that we really believe can change this world. We are representing with the highest dignity and honor, that we don't ever want to, we don't want to give people any ammunition to be used against us. We don't ever want to present these ideas in some way that somebody's thinking, wow, that's just, that person sounds like a wide-eyed conspiracy theorist, even though at the heart of some of these ideas, it's just like the ultimate conspiracy. But it was, it's like, you can't be like, and like the bats are trying to kill us all, and like the chemtrails are going to make us all die and sick. You have to like, rise up. Like, in other words, we should conduct ourselves in a way that we don't scare the children.
That's right. No, you're right.
But I totally get that. That's great. That's really important. Definitely is to communicate protocol for public presentation. So yeah. What else?
At this stage of the game, I really like, I like the points that have been brought up about making sure that somebody communicates really well and knowing the Ubuntu book front to back, the contributionism book front to back, or not front to back, but having it squarely set in your mind. I also really like the idea of very open source. We have these groups of coordinators, and under each of them they have three other coordinators. But I really like the idea of within each individual piece of that entity, I don't know, underneath each coordinator, I think a lot of it should kind of be up to each individual group to decide what it is that represents them the best. I mean, as far as I think that we can keep the ideas or the requirements kind of minimum as much as possible, because I know that we each have our own ideas about the person that we would want, that we think is great. But I think for me, I'm really big. I love the idea of local culture and things of that sort, and I think that each area should be able to get its own little voice insofar as who they have in this.
Yeah, man, that's great. Like, I totally get that. Like, if you could imagine, let's say, Ubuntu Hawaii and all of that divine goddess energy, that flows through those lands and those peoples,
Totally.
A Manhattan group, you know what I mean? It's going to be like really intense masculine energy. So yeah, so we want, in a sense, encourage, like we want to avoid this homogenous tendency to kind of the same kind of brand. Not that this brand could ever become bland, but we want to maintain the colors, the variety, like the garden variety. So in other words, Ubuntu is just like the principle of organic gardening, but the individual groups are the various plants and flowers, and there's a variety and there's color, but they're all organic, organic seed, organic soil. So yeah, I really like that idea of really encouraging people to celebrate their unique culture on a community level, county level, state level, for sure. That's great, man.
And I feel like it will filter up, as you get, as you come up each level. We have these levels of organization. You come up each level, you'll start kind of getting a balance between all of the contributing pieces, and then you even end up on the state level, or even, it'll be a very organic process of bringing this idea together, or the image of the idea together. And I think that's a really awesome way to have it come together, rather than to have it done from the top down, maybe more from the inside out.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, good. Michael's back. I was wondering. Yeah, so Brother Michael, Cunningham, we are talking about bare minimum requirements for coordinators. We were talking about the bare minimum anybody fulfilling that role should be have basic computer skills, so they can join up on chats like this. That they should be skillful with social media, so they can help grow the page and expand, within their communities through social media. Um, they should know the book and be constantly immersed in it, either by reading it or listening to it. But essentially, being able to, represent to their respective communities, like to be the face of Ubuntu. So that's kind of another way of talking about what we were talking about before, guys. Is that anybody at any level who's a coordinator has to own the fact that like you are the face of Ubuntu to your community. You'll probably be the first one who they connect with these ideas, and you might as well just accept the fact that like, you're totally legitimate to represent, and nobody needs to be an expert. That's another thing. It's really of teaching as you're learning, because really that's a great advantage to new people coming in, because these ideas are fresh in your mind and you're enthusiastic, but a lot of times we don't permit ourselves, we don't give ourselves permission to take that initiative and that authority because we feel like we're not experts, so therefore who are we to speak on it? So I really feel like it's important to communicate, like, just to own that, and nobody's expecting you to be like a super whiz or whatever. We're all humans, we're all fallible, we all have our, strengths and weaknesses, and that's the beauty of it, But that, just be conversant with the basic ideas, and, just be confident enough to be able to stand up in front of people and just share these basic ideas, and to teach what you're learning. So there would be that. Robert made a really good point in terms of the kind of decorum or the way that we were kind of laughing about it before, but essentially, like, we don't want to scare the children. We don't want to be like the wide-eyed conspiracy guys saying chemtrails and they're going to kill us all, and the bankers, genocide and blood in the streets. We want to just really focus on the beauty of the ideas, because they contain an inherent power, and people will sense that. So, we want to be those people that people want to get close to, because we're kind-hearted and accepting, and we're warm, and we're intelligent, and we're loving, and we're accessible. So it's going to be important to make sure that our coordinators can kind of, represent at that level. And then what was the last thing we were talking about in terms of bare minimum requirements? Oh, representing and honoring the kind of zeitgeist of the community that you're part of. Like if you're a Hawaii person, allowing Ubuntu to kind of develop within the vibe of Hawaii or California or Manhattan, all of them different places. So in other words, like Ubuntu is kind of like the of organic gardening. But in the organic garden, we've got all sorts of varieties of plants and flowers, all different colors, different fruits, but it's all coming from the same, and the roots are coming from the same source. So those are some of the things that we were thinking of, Michael Cunningham. Is there anything else that you can think of that would be important to consider as a bare minimum requirement for coordinators and people who are plugging in? And I think your microphone's...
I think that we should definitely be talking to the municipalities and other like state level politicians.
Yeah, man. Totally. Tell us more about that. What do you envision?
Just like, well, I got like just like town hall next to me and a bunch of like political offices, and I was thinking just like going in there, like, you know, giving them a book or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Were you able to hear us before? Because I know that you were off for a little bit, but when we were talking about designing literature, did you hear?
Oh, yeah, I'd be interested in designing some literature.
Okay, so yeah, you can use like if you know in my Mac I've got Pages. I was looking at some of the brochure templates, to make some really nice looking literature that's really legit, because one of the strategies that we're going to need to kind of implement is that because we are communicating what could be very realistically viewed as radical ideas, okay, we want to, in a sense, we don't want to give people ammo to misrepresent the legitimacy and the beauty of these ideas, even though they are radical. So, in other words, like I was looking at brochure templates that were like, kind of like they weren't, they just looked normal, like, something you would find for like a travel brochure or like a restaurant informational thing. So we want to be able to present these ideas in a broadly accessible manner. So, like, in other words, like I met this awesome young guy at this party I was at last Saturday who was from New Paltz, New York, and who's connected with like, Earth First and the Earth Liberation Front, and some really radical like anarcho-ecological movements. And he had brought some literature. It was really cool. I snagged a bunch of it to read up on. But like, for instance, we don't want our literature to look like standard anarchist literature and handouts, because that's the vibe that people will get, and they'll be like, no thanks, like just from seeing it. So we want to, in a sense, be as broadly accessible in our delivery of these ideas, which are indeed radical. So yeah, man, if you want to design some literature and use your own language or draw from the book, but I think that would be a great thing to do, is to start flowering community. We can even design actual brochures and then share them amongst ourselves as templates that can be designed specifically for like local law enforcement, people who work in the municipal building, even judges, I don't know, Michael, you're really interested in that stuff, so maybe you can focus on some Ubuntu literature to introduce these ideas to people in the legal profession in our towns and municipalities.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on bare minimum requirements for coordinators? Okay, moving on. So yeah, so the next point is activating at the community level, and I think we've already covered a lot of that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on creative ways that we can activate at the community level, but just to recap what I said before, it would be, I've been out this week, I've connected with a bunch of groups just in the last week and in the last year. I belong to a local community-supported garden that's been around for 10 years. There's a whole community there. I've joined my local time bank, which is an off-spin of the transition towns. I met some people from Transition Newton. At screening I went to 2 nights ago for OMG, GMO OMG, which is this new movie on Monsanto. It was really cool. It was held at the local Unitarian Universalist Church in Newton, so I met some of the people who are connected there. So it's all about cross-pollination and recognizing that we're all on the same team. So I had printed out some flyer information, and as people were coming in and sitting down before the movie got started, I said, hi there, my name is David Bryce, and I said, I brought some flyers here tonight from this awesome new grassroots movement called Ubuntu out of South Africa, and they're sharing some really great ideas and have some wonderful solutions on how we can help, heal the world. And I brought some flyers here. If anybody would like one, just raise your hand. And a bunch of people put their hands up, and I went around, and just like just as easy as that, just to kind of seed within that group. But Sierra Club, any agricultural groups, open mics where artists are meeting up. So these are the ways that we can be activating our community. What are some other ways that we can activate our communities at the community level?
I think there's a super broad spectrum of things. I mean, it kind of depends. It seems like it could apply to just about anybody. The ideas could apply to just about anybody. They could seem beautiful to just about anything. I mean, I can even think of within my work teaching music, I can even think of several people that would be interested in the ideas. And again, maybe I sound a little too open, but I feel like letting it organically happen as much as possible. I mean, each one of us is interested in the ideas. Each one of us is trying to spread them. I don't think that there's a whole lot of. I think a lot of people are hungry for them. I don't think there's a whole lot of obstacles. I mean, for me personally, I'd love to introduce a couple of my students. There's not a whole lot of CSAs here. I know you mentioned the CSAs. We don't have very many at all. I've tried looking into things of that sort before. But, yeah, I'm still thinking. Just a couple of quick thoughts.
Down here in Victoria, we've got a gentleman that has a hydroponic and aquaponic system, and he's selling some of the produce, and he's trying to do this all by himself, and he's needing some help. And I've talked to him a couple of times, and I want to go work with him some, but he's also teaching other people how to do it. So I know he's kind of got a network, and I think those type of people would be interested in this movement. And the other thing that I'm thinking about is we homeschool our daughter, or my wife does. I'll give her the credit. But these homeschoolers are also very interested in organic gardening and organic produce. And so in the back of my mind, I'm kind of thinking, okay, if I could put these guys together and get the homeschool moms taking the kids down to this guy's aquaponic hydroponic system where he can teach them and the kids how to do this stuff, and they can help him. They can get some produce. It would be like exactly what Michael's talking about. Put some time in, get something out of it, have more to share, sell, or whatever. So you could almost be creating an Ubuntu community, a miniature food production facility, if you will. And you wouldn't even have to bring up the concept of Ubuntu, but once people see how that works and you talk about the concepts with them, I think doing something like that, where they can even see it in action and it makes sense to them, or I think it makes sense. It's making sense to me anyway. So I'm just throwing that out. I hope to go talk to that guy this weekend.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I feel too. Is it seems like no matter what your area of interest is, there's a lot of things in the world right now that just don't seem to make sense. Whether it's you're talking about psychology, you're talking agriculture, you're talking about food, health, psychology. I already said psychology. But those things, I think whatever you're interested in, there's a lot of people out there that are already at this like, what are we doing? Implementing things that we should be, and so I think it as far as growing the thing in the community, I think really each one of those things we kind of love, that we have the contacts for, and showing people that they can do that in an open source. Contributing.
I think we
As far as
lost.
like practical, Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's a little bit of extended silence in your last communication. So if you could just recap like the last 20 seconds, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, let's see. It's back. What I was saying is, I feel like, as Robert mentioned, that it seems like there's so many people, no matter what their interests are, that are looking for change, and Ubuntu is essentially a platform for change, I feel, towards something a more natural alternative that a lot of people feel is missing. And I don't know that I can think of a single thing that can be done. It's just more naturally expanding into our communities and letting people know, hey, you're interested in, like I said, psychology, you know that the society we have is not built for our psychological health as human beings. And a lot of people are looking to us, how can we do a better, make a better situation of it? And this is one way. Or it's people who are interested in agriculture, interested in health, or interested in just about anything. It seems like no matter what our interests are, if we can share them, I mean, just being a part of the movement, you're being a spokesman, but it's not an active or sales type of thing. You know what I mean? It just feels like, as a person trying to make the world better, this is what I am a part of. And it would be great if anybody else who just wants to make the world better, just about everybody does, can do what they love doing and bring that in as well.
Yeah, man, that's really important to communicate to everybody who we'll be connecting with, that there's no pressure to get involved with the political aspect of this. And I'm talking more like on the community level. Obviously, anybody who's going to function in the role of a coordinator by necessity is already part of the political aspect of this on a party level. But because Ubuntu is at the community level, we need to be mindful of the distinction between those of us who are kind of like, political activists in trying to, in a sense, spread an awareness as widely, broadly as we possibly can in as little amount of time as we can compress it into. So it's all about everybody finding their own, comfort zone and unique role. But I think as long as we're guided by the principle of no force, no coercion, that will be good. We want to encourage people, like Robert was saying, that is Ubuntu. And we're going to have lots of opportunities that, hopefully as we're so focused on, spreading the word and getting the mission out there, that we won't neglect when a true Ubuntu situation arrives in our own experience, whether it's connecting two people who, by virtue of simply our introduction, will naturally, benefit from that connection, or whether we can just help integrate, that kind of community in whatever level. So that's really the heart and soul and the nuts and bolts of what this is all about. And that's not even particularly political. That's just neighborly. A different mode of politics. Just brotherly love of Philadelphia, right? But yeah, it's going to be to the attractiveness of this movement is that there's never any pressure, to let people know that if at any time you are no longer feeling it, either as a coordinator or anything, that's fine, and that there's no judgment and only love, and nobody's going to hold it against you if one day you just say, I just don't want to, function in this role anymore. I'm going to find another category that I'm resonating with, and it's all yes, bless. It's all love, and there's no force. Nobody's being either asked or forced or intimidated to do something that is not a totally free will, voluntary choice of their own and in alignment with their own passion. So I feel that will go a long way towards creating an energy dynamic and attractive in terms of just bringing in true open-hearted people and a real kind of blissful and innocent energy to plug in with each other and make good things happen,
Totally. Yeah, I get the feeling. Oh, go ahead.
I think one of the critical first steps to starting communities and stuff is to grow a lot of our own food and more, so that we don't have to pay money at the store to buy our food, and we can make money off of selling the abundance of food.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Do you have community-supported agriculture or gardens out there?
I haven't really looked into it very much.
Yeah, man.
But there's probably a lot of them out there.
Yeah. What zone are you in out there in Cali?
In Ventura County.
Oh, dude, there's probably so many. Just do a little search or something, you know. You probably find a bunch of places like in a 10-mile radius, and yeah, just plug in with one, you know, and those people will probably be ready to rock Ubuntu, you know.
Yeah.
You can look for gardening groups on Facebook as well in your area. I found one here.
Cool. All right, so as far as activating at the community level, I think we've covered that pretty well for now. And just an update for those who are connected here, there are a number of people who are listening in. Elijah is up in Canada and is able to hear us, but he cannot connect. And there's somebody else I'm going to try to plug in right now. But moving on, so yeah, activating at the community level, creating literature and flyering, I think that we've pretty much covered that as well. And right. And then, okay, staying connected through informational portals. So kind of like my thought with that was, you know, here we are, you know, using this Google format. As I mentioned earlier, you know, if you look at the bottom of your page and you look at each one of those squares as a panel, we can only have 10 panelists at a time doing video, but people can listen in. I don't think people can speak because I think we would have heard people already speaking if they could speak but not come on video. And I would be interested, if anybody is listening right now who's not part of the video conference, I would like to see evidence if you were able to type into the group chat. Because I would imagine that Google would have this set up that people who are listening in are able to submit questions or contributions through the group chat. So I know Elijah's listening. Anybody else out there listening, you can just play around with your device, search for the chat icon within this Google Hangout, and just type some stuff in there to confirm. We'll know if we have that function within chat. Any ideas from anyone here present on ways of just organizing communications? Because I mean, eventually this is going to be lots of point people. I mean, if you think about it, 50 states times 3, there's 150 people who are functioning at the state. You know, bring it down to the counties, multiply that by a couple hundred, and now we have literally thousands of county coordinators, and that's not even to speak of municipalities. So eventually we're going to have a lot of coordinators, and you know, what will be the best way to keep kind of like the informational flow optimal between this huge body of contributors. I wish Elijah was here because his specialty is informational portals and informational systems, so he's probably going to send an email. But would love to hear anybody else's thoughts. You know.
One of the things that I think that I know we need to do on the website is we'll set up an email list so people can subscribe to receive email updates. And we could also have a separate list for coordinators if we wanted to do that, and maybe create a member area on the website where the coordinators could log in, maybe a forum, something like that, where by having a list, any important information that needs to get put out could be sent to all the coordinators at once.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Just using the website as kind of like the primary portal. We can maybe set up a chat within the website or some kind of forum with various conversations going on. Anybody here familiar with with GLP or Godlike Productions. It's like an alternative news site, conspiracy
Yes.
site.
Yeah, I've been on that site a few times.
So I really dig that kind of forum setup. I like the whole idea of just anybody can post a new thread at any time. The most relevant threads get pinned, so they stay at the top. And then you can click on a thread and just see the conversation as it's going on. But I do like the idea of categorizing conversations, especially when we end up having all of these thousands of coordinators that are functioning in their respective domains, whether it be municipal, county, state. But what will be cool is that it'll keep it transparent and open source, so that, let's say, if you and I are county coordinators on the East Coast, but we're interested in seeing what's happening on a municipal level way out in the Midwest, that we can jump into that thread and see the conversation. So I don't even know how to describe forum format, but I feel like that would be a really good, useful format for our website. And it's very standard. I see lots of groups using this particular format.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a problem to set that up.
I'm also curious if either of you are familiar with Reddit, or how that works.
I'm familiar with it. Can you break it down? I'm not that conversant, but I'm
the thing that's kind of interesting about it is that if somebody posts something, the posts are organized depending on how many people find them important or like them, as you could say. So if somebody were to post something that the majority of the people in that thread found to be interesting or relevant, they would click like, and when you come to that thread, you see the threads organized by the number of likes received. And if you had something like that for each smaller community, wherein the posts that ended up at the top, that had the most likes or most relevant to that community, could be then moved up to the state level or to the county level, and then from there up maybe to the country level as well. But you could have separate or connected forums for each one, where this sort of filtering would happen based on the whatever was relevant to that area.
Yeah, I like that. So it self-organizes by relevance. That would be a cool function to have for sure. And then the final point on our agenda, and we can always go back to discuss anything that if we get inspired with an idea to address any of these categories. Let me just ask you guys on your screen. Okay, if you look at the top left, you see kind of like that blue square icon that says chat when you hover over it. And if you click on chat to the right, it opens up the group chat. Can you see my post where it, I laid out the agenda and the bullet points?
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
I can see it.
I just saw your test, Robert. Cool.
Okay.
Michael, can you see that?
There we are. Yeah, I wasn't there until a second ago, but it's coming up now.
All right, cool. So, yeah, the other thing is that I just heard back from the place that I do UbuntuFest, and just so you guys know, I've been running this beautiful the focus is on yoga music workshops. About 8 years ago, we just had our 8th annual UbuntuFest. We finally found an official home, some people that really dig what we do and support us. They get what we do, and they're really behind us. In Pottstown, Pennsylvania, it's like 45 minutes north of Philadelphia. And so anyway, just got confirmation back that Memorial Day weekend is available there, and so I booked it and I confirmed it. I had created this event called UbuntuFest, okay? And the idea of the festival is just simply to create a meetup for global Ubuntu coordinators. Okay, so it's an open invitation for anybody who is either currently involved with Ubuntu, who wants to get involved. You know, there's really no bar to entry. It's open for everybody. But ideally, basically, we want it to be kind of like a meetup where we can like get together. And what's great is that I'm able to keep the price point very low for this 4-day event. So for $99, okay, because I've got to cover costs for the venue. So I wish it could all be free, but until the day that, you know, the vendors that I deal with are willing to offer their services for free, you know, I can't offer an event for free because I personally can't pay for these expenses. So, but I'm trying to keep the pricing down as low as possible. So people who want to come and camp, and it should be fairly warm at that time of year. It's like, you know, officially what the Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people regard that as like the first weekend of summer or whatever on the East Coast. So as long as you can get there, people can fly into Philadelphia International Airport. We can arrange shuttles or do some kind of. There's a bus actually that will bring you just about to the doorstep. But you know, that is something that I want to promote mainly for just informational and just getting the USA coordinators together in one place. And for 4 days and 3 nights, we'll be doing presentations. I already put out the word inviting people. Anybody who wants to offer, contribute a PowerPoint presentation on anything that could be remotely related to Ubuntu. It could be like, you know, permaculture, solar energy, you know, anything that Michael talks about in the book. You know, a new banking, you know, cryptocurrency, whatever. So, you know, it'll basically be 4 days of just awesome content, awesome people, you know, and just a great opportunity to hang out. So I just wanted to get your guys' thought, or if you had any questions on UbuntuFest.
No, it sounds like a great idea overall. When did you say the date would be?
Dates are
Pending?
May. Yeah, let me just pull this up here. I think it's May 22nd through the 25th, I'm pretty sure. Let me just confirm that here. And we definitely want some music there, and there is a piano on site. Michael.
Can do, yeah.
And I'll definitely be bringing my guitar. I mean, we got a basic PA set, but probably what I'm not going to do is you know, because I want to keep the price point really low, I'm not going to like get a stage and, you know, a big sound system. We'll probably just do all music like, you know, very bare bones outdoors. You know, there's like a couple pavilion areas we could do outdoor music, or do it indoors in the cafeteria if it's inclement weather. So that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we have Ubuntu. Yeah, so Friday, May 22nd, 22, 23, 24, through Monday the 25th. So basically, you know, Friday, 12 noon it would start. Then it would go 4 days right through Monday until 10 p.m. and then we would officially wrap it up on Tuesday.
Cool.
That
Sounds
was my
neat.
thought. And yeah, I really feel like that would help, you know, help maintain, you know, the coherence and the united vision of the USA Party is, you know, bringing everybody together in one space for like a deep, immersive, like retreat, and, you know, building relationships and just, you know, visioning together, co-creating, and just, you know, just like really activating each other, you know what I mean, and cross-pollinating ideas. I think a lot of good stuff can come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea.
Right on, brother. So what other people are you connecting with out there, Michael? Are there any awesome people like yourself who are standing with you? Are you still looking for the others?
I'm still searching for the others, but I've found a few of them. There's a couple of 2 or 3 or 4 Ubuntu coordinators like in my area, in the Los Angeles area.
Cool.
And one of them is my really good friend. He's trying to make some kind of like an induction motor, like with magnets, like with Tesla technology. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad you brought up Tesla, because one group that we will definitely have at UbuntuFest is the Tesla Science Foundation, because they're right out of Philly and they love us and we love them. They've been with us at EvolveFest for the last 2 years. So those guys will definitely plug in. They'll bring out like Tesla technology and do a lot of presentations. They'll probably do like at least one Tesla presentation every day for 4 days. Crossing my fingers, I'm hoping that Michael and Luis can make it from South Africa. They're aware of UbuntuFest, but they haven't committed to it yet. But that will be huge if they can, make it, and we can bring, the whole USA group together under the banner of, Michael and Luis. So I'm really hoping to see that come together. Cool, brother. So
that's neat.
We've been on here for about an hour and 40 minutes, and is there anything else that we need to address or that anybody would like to contribute?
I did kind of want to recap real quick about some of the challenges that you brought up, so I could write down. I'm a pretty introverted thinker, so I want to take some time to kind of chomp through them and see what I can come up with. But so we're talking about communications, flow of information was one of the things. Talking about forums and how we can possibly get all this to work together, considering the number of coordinators we're going to have. Right, so that was one thing that was kind of what are we going to do? And then connecting with others in community, looking for pragmatic ideas on that sort of thing. I know I offered pretty abstract idea forms, but so I can take a little time to get something a little more concrete. But is there anything else in particular?
Just going to look at this agenda here again.
Bare minimum requirements for coordinators.
Yeah. Yeah, we should write those down. In fact, you know what? Are you able to type this into the chat there?
I believe so.
So, requirements for coordinators. One, computer skills.
Familiarity with the book.
Yep. Is this coming up on the group chat?
Sorry?
Are you typing this into the group chat?
Yes, I am.
Because it's not populating up on my screen. Oh, wait, there we go. It just came through. Okay. Computer skills, social media skills. Has read the book, continues to read the book. I don't know if that's the best way to put it.
that says it.
Public speaking. What's another way of describing decorum, or like the way that you carry yourself to represent in a non-offensive manner? Ability to tactfully communicate ideas. I don't know if that's the best way to put it.
Interpersonal awareness.
Oh, I like that. That definitely says it as well. And we also spoke about helping like engender, to really tap into the local community zeitgeist and to help support that, help kind of cultivate that unique regional expression of Ubuntu. Again, I don't know the best way to say that.
Oh, I was typing.
Oh, here we go. Clear passion for Ubuntu. Alicia, yes, thank you. Basic, yes, passion for Ubuntu. Like, in other words, yes, we don't want people who just, want 15 minutes of fame so they can say, I was a coordinator of the Ubuntu movement. Yeah. There's Jack listening in. Oh, cool. Gina was in before a bunch of other people. So awesome.
So how I'm seeing those people on my phone, Dave, but why am I not seeing them on the group chat or?
You know what? They're actually not in my chat screen. They actually popped up on another screen on my computer. It's not on my screen we're sharing right now. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, they're not showing up on my computer screen at all, but they're showing up on my phone.
Yeah, it looks like they're showing up in the Google Plus.
Yeah, that's what it is, brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
Google Plus. So is that like a whole separate window then?
It is for me.
Yeah, same.
Okay, I don't have it open then.
Cool. Public speaking, did we capture that?
Well, now.
An ability to officially represent Ubuntu within your domain, within your community. Like in other words, owning that you are the face of Ubuntu. Like you're that guy, you're that girl, and being okay with that. Nice. Ability to officially and confidently represent Ubuntu within your community. That's great, man. Yeah, beautiful. Another thing that we might want to consider is just being able to communicate the Ubuntu ideas is not complete because anybody can parrot an idea. So in other words, if somebody was like, so what's this whole deal with like, no money, like why would people want to give up money, and why is the book subtitled Exposing the Global Banking Fraud? They might remember from the book the fact that
I gotta go, but
system. What's up, brother? They might remember from the book that Michael Cunningham, if you're trying to your mic off, you had to go. Maybe that was it. Okay. So somebody might be able to say, oh, well, yeah, the banks are all fraudulent, and that's why we, believe that we need to get past money. That really doesn't do justice in giving an answer to such an important question. So it's almost as if we, I don't know if we can maybe create a questionnaire or at least plug everybody into, direct people to a couple websites where they can get themselves educated in a more comprehensive way. So like in other words, if you're going to talk about moving beyond money, and this conversation that you're having on a local level involves actually discussing the nature of the fraud of the banks. That's a bit of a complicated issue. It's complex, and it takes a special ability to be able to break down a complex matter outside of the language in which it's usually couched, and be able to break it down like to the man on the street. So all that to say, I feel that it's important for coordinators to have like a basic level of education of like alternative information, and being able to articulate from a sense of their own understanding and not just because the book said it. So in other words, how do we avoid the tendency to parrot ideas, which really lacks force when you're trying to communicate a compelling idea, as opposed to, speaking from a true conceptual grasp of it, which does carry force to be persuasive.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because it's all too easy to just lay an idea out there and not fully understand even why you think the way you do about it, and how you get people to own it, I guess, and understand why they own it. It just takes some study, doesn't it?
Yeah, one thing that might be convenient and just really totally in alignment with what we're talking about here is just, telling people, if you feel like this is a lot of new information that you're coming into and you want to really plug in and activate, within the community, we don't want to get in your way. We want to support your process. But if you're feeling like a little bit like, there's so much to learn, we can direct everybody just to Michael's massive corpus of videos, where he gets into extensive explanations from all different angles of these very things we're talking about. So I feel like a steady diet of the book and a steady diet of Michael's videos, and people can click on related videos to go deeper. But in other words, we can keep it streamlined and elegant and simple by simply telling people that you can, further educate yourself in kind of like these alternative sources of information by simply exploring the hundreds of videos on YouTube of Michael Tellinger.
And that's something we could do on the website as well. Maybe have like a button that says learn or learn more, something like that, and then just have some links, maybe embed some YouTube videos. We can kind of talk about that as we start building this, but and to have a place we could direct people, as not only coordinators but anyone that's interested in the movement. Oh yeah, go to Ubuntu Party USA and click on the Learn More button, and check out the video or whatever it is that we put there.
Sure. Yeah, and there's a couple really good resources online in terms of like informational hubs. So really central to the Ubuntu vision is a lot of these understandings in law that have been associated with the sovereignty movement and with the free man movement. And for instance, there's this great hub online. It's just SEDM, which is an acronym for Sovereign Something Defense Ministries, I think it is. But don't be misled by the word ministries. You're not going to, it's not like you go there and you get clobbered by Bible verses and, repent or perish kind of stuff. It's just a huge compendium of really well organized source material on law, common law, sovereignty, and all the free man stuff. So, because that stuff is really central to the Ubuntu message, we can find what we feel are the best informational portals online, because I'd rather direct people to like a really good single source, or maybe two, rather than giving them 10 directions, because that's just too overwhelming. People do a lot better when you give them, you know, one or two or three options. You know, it just feels more manageable.
Yeah, there's that. I have been on that website, and there is so much stuff there that it's just overwhelming. I actually set up a site. There's the link, because I've seen so much stuff out there online, and I wanted to kind of have a place online where I just link to other people's stuff. So I kind of set that up, and that was kind of my intention with that. But I think, yeah, there's a lot of good information. There's a lot of information that isn't that great, and
yeah, that's for sure.
I think we need to be careful, and if we work together, you know, kind of sort through what's out there and where we point people, so that we're giving people the absolute best thing that we can give them.
Yeah, that's really important, especially because right now, you know, the FBI is targeting what they are calling sovereign citizens, and you know, anybody who really understands law and legal terminology, you know, already is savvy enough to know that you cannot be a citizen and a sovereign at the same time, because they're actually mutually exclusive. But that also indicates that the people who are drawn into groups that do call themselves sovereign citizens are really not that well educated, and are probably getting involved in extremist groups that use a lot of these freedom teachings as a springboard for their own radical political agenda, which is often very confrontational against government, and almost seems to incite, you know, not peaceful rebellion. You know, one thing that I'm always very clear to communicate as often as possible in the law groups that I admin and am connected with is that violence is never, ever an option. I do make a clear distinction between violence and self-defense. I believe they're two totally different categories that should never be confused, but you can understand how people can easily confuse them.
Sure,
but,
sure.
I communicate all the time to people who are connecting with the law teachings is that the law requires us to be peaceable, to be lawful, to avoid conflict and controversy, and that's what makes you an honorable person, and that's the only way you can remain in honor, is by seeking peace, avoiding conflict and controversy, and being lawful, and again, understanding the distinction between legal and lawful. You know, two different pieces. So all that to say, I agree. There's a lot of stuff out there that we would not in that direction, only because, you know, they're going to just get caught into, you know, a nexus of, you know, trouble.
Right, right. Are you you guys feel familiar with Brandon Adams?
No, I'm not.
Mastery in Commerce.
I've heard of Truth in Commerce, but not Mastering Commerce. No.
Okay. He teaches some courses around law and all that, and I've kind of been listening to some of his stuff, and he has a really good I don't know how to explain it really, but his come from is a very spiritual approach, and I'll send you a link.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
So I set this Google Hangout for 2 hours. We're like a 1 minute away, so I don't know if it's going to automatically stop. I'm guessing it probably won't. I'm guessing, I hope it won't, because I'm sure there'll be some occasions where even though I set it for a specific time, we're going to want to go past. But what are you guys' feelings for tonight? You guys want to wrap it up soon? And this is going to be archived now as a YouTube video, so anybody can reference it from this day going forward.
I think so. I think I've got lots of food for thought and things to work on. Pretty good at this point. Very.
All right, my brothers. Well, much love, many blessings to you. Thank you for taking this time out to meet up, and for anybody listening in, thank you for being here. We're going to try to do this every Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be sending out information for the next Google Hangout probably in the next couple of days. But we're going to just try to keep the ball rolling here. And now that we are establishing this kind of continuity, I expect to see some really great things emerging from the people who are gathering together to be part of this. I'm honored. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for getting this thing set up and teaching us this new technology.
Pretty fun stuff, isn't it?
It's pretty cool. It really is.
Yeah.
Likewise, Dave. It's an absolute honor. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll be talking.
All right, talk to you soon. Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.